Nearly 3 out of 4 people will die before they reach 85. Not because of bad luck, but because of 5 deadly habits after 60 that almost no one talks about. Today, you'll learn why people die before 85, and more importantly, how to avoid the deadly habits seniors must avoid to live longer, stronger, and freer. If you're over 60 and wondering, am I doing something right now that's silently cutting years off my life? This video might be the wake-up call you've been waiting for. And don't worry, we won't just scare you. You'll get clear, science-backed solutions that can add 10 to 15 quality years to your life, starting today. If you're over 60, every little choice you make today, how you sit, how you eat, how you sleep, how you think, isn't just shaping your health. It may quietly decide how many years you have left to live. According to studies, 73% of people who die before 85 share the same 5 daily habits. Not because of bad genes, not because of sudden accidents, but because they never realized they were living in a way that slowly, silently shortened their life. One ordinary day at a time. And that's what makes this so urgent. These habits look innocent. They feel normal. But they are stealing your future without warning. Habit number 1, sitting too much. When sitting becomes surrender. Meet Helen, 68 years old, a cheerful grandmother, full of warmth and laughter, who starts every morning with a brisk 30-minute walk around her neighborhood. She eats her greens, takes her vitamins, and genuinely believes she's doing everything right. But there was one problem Helen never noticed. After that morning walk, she sat, all day, every day, reading the newspaper, solving crosswords, watching TV, talking on the phone, knitting, writing birthday cards for her grandkids. It all seemed harmless, even productive. Until her doctor asked one question, "Helen, how many hours a day do you think you spend sitting?" She paused, counted, and then went quiet. The truth? Helen was sitting more than 10 hours a day, and she's not alone. Millions of older adults are just like Helen, moving in the morning and then slipping into stillness for the rest of the day. What they don't realize is this. After 60, sitting too long is no longer a harmless habit. It becomes a slow form of surrender. The science. Why sitting is the new smoking for seniors. New research shows that sitting more than 8 hours a day increases your risk of death by 60%, especially if you're over 60. Even worse, that daily walk doesn't cancel it out. Scientists call this the exercise paradox. It's like smoking a pack of cigarettes and thinking one healthy meal will undo the damage. It doesn't work like that. Why? Because as we age, our circulation slows, our muscle mass shrinks faster, and our metabolism drops year by year. What used to be lazy at 40 becomes dangerous at 70. When you sit for hours, your blood pools in your legs, your insulin response weakens, and your brain receives less oxygen and nutrients. This increases the risk of blood clots, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, cognitive decline, loss of independence. Helen didn't feel any of that happening until one small moment changed everything. The turning point. One afternoon, while watching a movie with her granddaughter, Helen tried to stand up from the couch. Her legs felt weak. She had to push with both arms and still wobbled a bit. She laughed it off. "Grandma's just a little tired today." But inside, she was concerned. When did it become hard to stand up? That night, she found a simple test online. The home test. Sit to stand. Sit in a chair with your arms crossed over your chest. Now try to stand up 5 times in a row without using your hands, without pushing off your thighs. Helen barely made it to 3. Her legs trembled, her balance wavered. That's when it hit her. My muscles are fading and I didn't even notice. The solution, the 50-10 rule. Helen didn't panic. She got curious. She started learning everything she could about movement after 60. Here's what she discovered and what changed her life. The 50-10 rule. For every 50 minutes of sitting, move your body for 10 minutes. Not intense exercise, just simple, gentle motion. So Helen made a few changes. She started doing her crosswords at a standing desk. She walked around the living room during phone calls. She did seated leg lifts while watching TV. She set a gentle alarm to remind her to stand every hour. No gym, no expensive equipment, just movement. The result? Stronger than she's felt. In decades 3 months later, Helen took the sit-to-stand test again. She stood up 10 times easily without hands, without hesitation. Her legs felt firmer, her balance steadier. She noticed her energy lasted longer throughout the day. Even her thinking felt clearer because blood flow to the brain had improved. She called her daughter one morning and said, "I feel stronger now than I did at 50. The takeaway sitting isn't just a posture. It's a choice, a direction, a daily decision, shrink or strengthen. For Helen, standing up more wasn't just physical. It was a quiet act of resistance, of reclaiming strength, of saying, "I'm not done yet. I'm not fading away." So now ask yourself, how many hours are you sitting each day? What's one small way you can start standing up for your future? Habit number 2, poor sleep. Running on empty. Frank's story. Meet Frank, 72 years old. A proud veteran, disciplined and reliable. He wakes up before sunrise every day, reads the paper by 6 a.m., and prides himself on never sleeping in. To him, sleeping less wasn't a flaw, it was a badge of honor. "I don't need as much sleep as I used to," he'd say with a grin. "I'm not lazy, I'm efficient." But then, strange things started happening. Every afternoon between 2 and 4 p.m., Frank would hit a wall. His mind would go foggy. He'd forget what he walked into a room for. Sometimes he'd snap at people for no reason or forget where he parked. His blood pressure crept up. His energy dipped. His patience wore thin. Still, he didn't blame sleep. "I'm just getting older," he told himself. But that wasn't the real problem. The truth about sleep. After 60. Here's what Frank and so many others didn't know. After 60, your body still needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. But your brain becomes less forgiving when you don't get it. And when seniors get less than 7 hours regularly, the risks are staggering. A 300% increased risk of stroke, accelerated memory loss and cognitive decline, a 50% drop in immune function, higher risk of falls, mood disorders, and even early death. The scariest part? You might not even realize you're sleep deprived because poor sleep feels normal over time. The afternoon crash test. Here's one way to find out if you're running on empty. Do you regularly feel drowsy, drained, or need a nap between 2 and 4 p.m.? That's not just aging. That's your brain sending a distress signal. "I didn't get the deep sleep I needed last night." Frank experienced this every single day, but he shrugged it off until the day he nearly backed into a car in the grocery store parking lot. He had been awake for 11 hours, but his reaction time was like someone who hadn't slept in 2 days. That moment scared him. What Frank didn't know about sleep architecture. Frank thought he was getting enough sleep, 6 hours, sometimes 5. But quantity wasn't the only issue. Quality matters just as much. As we age, our deep sleep cycles shrink. We wake up more during the night. We become more sensitive to light, noise, and temperature shifts. Frank had micro-awakenings, brief moments where his brain surfaced from deep sleep, often 6 to 8 times per night. He didn't remember them, but they robbed him of the restoration his body desperately needed. The solution: the 3-2-1 rule plus the worry window. Frank decided to run a simple experiment for just 2 weeks. He followed the 3-2-1 rule, which completely changed his nights. 3 hours before bed. No large meals. 2 hours before bed. No more liquids. 1 hour before bed. No screens, no phone, no news, no stimulation. Instead of scrolling through headlines or watching late-night TV, Frank started keeping a worry window. Each evening he sat down for 15 minutes, wrote out anything that was bothering him from bills to doctor appointments, and then folded the page shut. He told himself, "I've acknowledged these things. They don't get to follow me into bed." He also made small tweaks to his bedroom. Lowered the temperature to 66 degrees Fahrenheit. Got blackout curtains. Started wearing a soft sleep mask. No sleeping pills. No gadgets. Just consistency and intention. The result: deep sleep, clear mind, steady blood pressure. After 6 weeks, everything changed. Frank began sleeping 7.5 hours a night naturally. His afternoon crashes disappeared. His blood pressure stabilized. He said he felt like his brain fog had lifted. Most importantly, he felt present again. Not just alive, but awake in the moments that mattered. Laughing with his grandson. Remembering stories from his Navy days. Taking joy in his morning coffee without the crash that used to follow. The takeaway: we don't gain time by cutting sleep. We lose it in energy, in memory, in presence. As Frank now says, "Every hour I sleep well gives me hours of life the next day." So if you've been telling yourself, "I'm fine on 6 hours," ask yourself this instead: am I really living fully or just running on empty? Because real energy doesn't come from willpower, it comes from restoration. And it starts the moment you decide your sleep is worth protecting. Habit number 3, social withdrawal, disappearing quietly. Meet Marilyn, 67 years old, a retired school teacher, a widow, a woman who once hosted book clubs in her living room, sang hymns at church every Sunday, and loved calling her best friend just to chat about nothing at all. But when her husband passed away suddenly, something in Marilyn went quiet. She stopped going to book club. She skipped church for 1 week, then 2. Then it became a habit. She stopped returning phone calls, stopped inviting people over. "I just need time," she told herself. "I'm okay. I'm just tired. I'm just not in the mood." But the truth was harder to admit. Marilyn wasn't resting. She was withdrawing. And slowly, quietly, she began to disappear. The moment. She realized she was fading. One evening, Marilyn was cleaning out a drawer and found her wedding photo. She smiled, then she paused. She looked around the empty living room. There's no one left to tell this story to. That hit her harder than any grief had. It wasn't just about missing someone. It was the feeling of not being part of anything anymore. The hidden health risk of social isolation. Marilyn thought she was doing fine. She stayed busy. She did puzzles, gardened, watched shows. But staying busy isn't the same as staying connected. And the science couldn't be clearer. Seniors who are socially isolated have a 50% higher risk of early death. Isolation is as harmful as smoking. 15 cigarettes a day. It doubles the risk of dementia. Why is it so dangerous? Because loneliness triggers the same stress response as physical danger. Your body produces more cortisol, your immune system weakens, inflammation rises, and the brain quite literally begins to shrink. The home test. Are you disappearing? Ask yourself this simple question. In the past week, How many meaningful conversations have you had? Not small talk, not pleasantries, real connection, real exchange. If your answer is less than 5, you may be at risk. If it's less than 2, you are in the danger zone. Why it's harder? After 60, it's not your fault. Making friends after 60 is harder than anyone admits. Friends move away or pass away. Driving becomes more difficult. Adult children are busy. Energy feels limited. And sometimes technology feels like a wall. You tell yourself it's just easier to stay home. But day by day, that choice shrinks your world. The solution: the one new connection per month. Challenge. Marilyn knew something had to change, but she also knew she couldn't flip a switch overnight. So she started small with what she called her one new connection a month challenge. Here's what she did. She volunteered once a week at a literacy center, helping adults learn to read. She joined a community garden where she met people of all ages. She asked her daughter to teach her how to video call her grandchildren. At first, it was awkward. She felt rusty, out of place. But by month 2, things felt easier. By month 6, her calendar was filling up with people who made her feel alive again. What changed in her health? Marilyn's blood pressure dropped 15 points. Her sleep improved within weeks. Her memory sharpened noticeably. She smiled more, laughed more. She felt like herself again, not someone fading into the background. More importantly, she no longer felt like her life was shrinking. She was part of conversations, jokes, plans. She was seen, heard, needed. The takeaway: loneliness isn't just a feeling. It's a condition, and it's treatable. We don't need hundreds of friends. We just need connection that feels real. Marilyn says it best: one real conversation a day can bring you back to life. So ask yourself, when was the last time I felt truly connected? And what's one small step you can take this week to make sure you're not slowly, quietly disappearing? Because the world needs your presence, not just your memories. Habit number 4, eating wrong, when healthy becomes harmful. Meet Walter, 74 years old, a retired engineer, smart, methodical, and proud of his morning routine. Every day for decades, he started with what he believed was a healthy breakfast: 2 slices of whole wheat toast, a little jam, and a tall glass of orange juice. "I've been doing this since I was 40, he'd say. "It's fruit, whole grains, low fat, it's what doctors used to recommend." Walter meant well, but what he didn't know was this: his healthy breakfast was quietly sending his blood sugar higher than a donut would, and it was happening every single morning. What changes after 60? After 60, your body doesn't process food the way it used to. Carbohydrate tolerance drops, insulin sensitivity weakens, your metabolism slows down, your body becomes more vulnerable to inflammation. That means foods that were perfectly fine at 40 can create havoc at 70, especially refined carbs, sugars, and certain oils. Walter's breakfast was a triple threat: 1 toast and jam, quick-burning carbs, high glycemic spike 2 orange juice, a concentrated hit of fructose. 3 low-fat eating often means higher sugar to compensate for flavor. His body couldn't keep up. The hidden damage. Walter began noticing little things: afternoon brain fog, stiff joints in the morning, low energy even after sleeping, frequent cravings for something sweet. At first, he thought it was just aging, but his blood work said otherwise. His doctor was blunt: "Walter, your fasting blood sugar is in the pre-diabetic range. Your inflammation markers are high. Your liver enzymes are off." It was a wake-up call. Walter felt betrayed by the very foods he thought were keeping him healthy. The role of chronic inflammation. Behind the scenes, something more dangerous was happening. Chronic inflammation. It's silent, it's subtle, and it's now considered the root cause of nearly every age-related disease, including heart disease, Alzheimer's, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, certain cancers. Walter was feeding that fire with his breakfast every day without realizing it. The solution, the senior smart Mediterranean approach. Walter didn't want a fad diet. He wanted something smart, sustainable, science-based. So he worked with a nutritionist and switched to a modified Mediterranean-style diet for older adults. Here's what that looked like. Morning: scrambled eggs with spinach and olive oil, half an avocado, herbal tea or lemon water, a few blueberries or walnuts. Lunch: grilled salmon or chicken, mixed greens with olive oil and lemon, sweet potato or quinoa, anti-inflammatory herbs like turmeric and black pepper. Dinner: light and early, a small soup or salad, herbal tea for digestion. He also cut out fruit juices, processed low-fat products, refined grains, vegetable oils like canola and soybean, and instead of supplements, he focused on whole food spices, turmeric, cinnamon, ginger, garlic. What happened next? 3 months later, Walter's follow-up appointment was a revelation. His blood sugar returned to normal. His inflammatory markers dropped by over 80%. His liver enzymes improved. His doctor said his blood work looked like someone in their early 50s, but it wasn't just the labs. Walter felt different and looked different. He woke up clear-headed. His joint pain nearly vanished. He stopped needing naps in the afternoon. His cravings disappeared. And the best part? He still enjoyed his meals even more than before. "I don't miss the toast and orange juice," he said. "I'd trade that for feeling this good any day." The takeaway: the food that once served you may now be silently hurting you, not because you made bad choices, but because your body has changed, and your food should too. Inflammation doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers through fatigue, fog, and forgotten energy. Walter didn't go on a strict diet. He simply shifted from eating for the past to eating for the life he still wanted to live. So ask yourself, what's one healthy food you've trusted for years that might no longer serve you today? Because changing your food isn't just about nutrition. It's about reclaiming vitality, one smart bite at a time. Habit number 5, chronic stress, always preparing for the worst. Meet Joanne, 69 years old, a widow, a caregiver, a mother, and a grandmother. She spends her days helping her 94-year-old mother, checking in on her adult children, and quietly worrying about everything and everyone except herself. To Joanne, worrying feels like love. If someone's late, she imagines a car accident. If a child sounds tired on the phone, she fears illness or job loss. If the market drops, she rechecks her retirement account 3 times. "I just want to be ready," she says. "If something bad happens, I don't want to be caught off guard." But in her effort to prepare for the worst, Joanne forgot how to live in the present. What chronic stress does after 60. Joanne didn't feel stressed. She wasn't frantic. She wasn't panicked. But she was in a constant state of low-level alertness, the kind that never turns off. Science now shows that chronic stress in older adults can be especially harmful because cortisol, the stress hormone, stays elevated longer. This leads to increased risk of stroke, heart disease, and rapid aging. It interferes with sleep, digestion, and immune response. It increases the risk of depression and cognitive decline. Joanne started having trouble falling asleep. Her appetite changed. She felt tense in her shoulders and chest. And sometimes, she'd forget what day it was. Still, she told herself, it's just part of getting older. But it wasn't. It was stress, and it was draining her, day by day. The questions that haunt us. Joanne's mind was filled with what-if thoughts. What if I get sick? What if I run out of money? What if my kids lose their jobs? What if I become a burden? She didn't share these worries with others, she carried them alone. Because to her, staying in control meant staying quiet. Until one evening, after forgetting her own doctor's appointment, Joanne sat down and whispered, I'm tired of being afraid of everything. The solution: shift the focus from fear to meaning. Joanne didn't want to stop caring. She wanted to care without falling apart. She started by doing something simple. She made 2 lists. List number 1, things I can control. What I eat. My exercise. How I respond to stress. Who I spend time with. What time I go to bed. List number 2, things I can only influence. My children's choices. My mother's health. The stock market. The news. Other people's opinions. Seeing the lists side by side was powerful. She realized she was spending most of her energy on things she could never control. That's when she made a choice. I want to stop managing every possible future and start living the life I still have. Gentle mindfulness, designed for older adults. Joanne tried meditation, but the traditional kind didn't work. Too much silence made her more anxious, so she learned a gentler form of mindfulness, adapted for aging minds. She didn't try to clear her mind. She simply noticed her thoughts without judgment. When a worry popped up, she'd say, "That's a thought. I don't have to believe it." She learned breathing patterns that calmed her nervous system in less than 2 minutes. She did walking meditations in the garden, where movement helped her stay grounded. Most importantly, she began asking herself a new question each morning. How do I want to be remembered? That question shifted everything. Instead of focusing on fear, she focused on legacy. Instead of managing outcomes, she invested in meaning. The transformation. After 6 months, Joanne was sleeping through the night again. Her blood pressure dropped. Her chest felt lighter. She smiled more. She began leading a small mindfulness group at the senior center, guiding others like her to breathe, release, and reflect. She wasn't free of worry, but she was no longer controlled by it. I still prepare, she said, but I don't live in fear anymore. I live in today. The takeaway: worry feels responsible. It feels protective. But if it consumes you, it robs you. What most people don't realize is that after 60, your time isn't just about quantity. It's about quality presence, peace, and purpose. So ask yourself, are you living each day as if disaster is around the corner, or as if life is still happening right now? Because you don't have to control the future to enjoy the present. You just have to let go of what's not yours to carry. This isn't a video about dying, it's about truly living. This wasn't a video about disease, decline, or death. It was a wake-up call about how life can still be reclaimed, no matter your age. Let's go back to our 5 friends. Helen, who once struggled to stand from a chair, now leads a hiking group through the Rockies at age 70. Frank, who thought 5 hours of sleep was enough, now sleeps deeply, thinks clearly, and starts his days refreshed and grateful. Marilyn, who once sat alone with her memories, now celebrates birthdays surrounded by 3 generations who adore her. Walter, who lived on toast and orange juice, now eats with purpose, cooks with joy, and hasn't needed 3 of his medications in over a year. Joanne, who lived in fear of everything, now leads a senior mindfulness circle, teaching others how to breathe, release, and reconnect with the moment. They didn't just live longer. They came back to life. They didn't just add years to their life. They added life to their years. What about you? Take a quiet breath. Be honest. Which of these 5 deadly habits are quietly shaping your days? Maybe it's hours of sitting without moving. Maybe it's skimping on sleep because the news is on too late. Maybe it's isolation dressed up as, "I'm just tired." Maybe it's the sugar in your healthy breakfast. Maybe it's the voice that says, "What if everything goes wrong?" Now ask yourself, what if everything could start going right today? Because here's the truth. It's not too late. Not even close. Your brain can still grow. Your body can still heal. Your heart can still love. Your presence still matters. The choice you make now shapes every year. A head change doesn't require perfection. It requires awareness. And it starts with one simple question. How do I want the rest of my life to feel? Strong, clear-minded, connected, free, joyful? Those answers aren't in your genetics. They're in your daily habits, starting today. Now, a personal ask from us. If this video spoke to something inside you, if it reminded you of someone you love, if it gave you even one insight worth holding on to, please do 3 simple things. 1. Like this video. It tells YouTube that this kind of content matters too. Comment below. Tell us, which habit hit home the most for you? 3. Subscribe to the channel, because we're just getting started. This channel isn't about fear, it's about freedom. It's about giving older adults the tools, wisdom, and truth to live fully, not quietly disappear. If you're over 60, this is your space. If you're a caregiver, this is your guide. If you're aging with questions, this is your community. Because aging isn't the end of your story. It might just be the start of the truest chapter yet. Final words. So, what habit are you letting go of starting today? And what part of yourself are you finally ready to reclaim? Tell us in the comments, because your story might be the light someone else needs to see. And come back often. We're building something special here. This is Elders Living Better. And around here, we believe one thing above all. Every moment matters. And so do you.